What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Today we'll be looking at college regrets. Do you have a college regret? Are you someone that says, hey, I wish I wouldn't have taken loans. I wish I wouldn't have traveled abroad. I wish I wouldn't have gone to that school. Do you have regrets that deep down you wish you would have never done? I hope not that many, if any at all. Let me know in the comments below. But here we are going to be looking at a survey from PayScale, and they surveyed 248,000 people in April through May in 2019. And he says those with at least a bachelor's degree were able to select their biggest educational regret. Respondents could choose one of the following: student loans, area of study, major, minor, concentration, a school institution, choice, too many degrees, overeducation for my career, time to complete a degree, academic underachievement, not making the right connections, the networking portion that we talk about here on the channel quite frequently. And of course, there are no regrets. I hope you are in the bucket with no regrets. So let's go over it. The first question that we have from the survey is, what are college's graduates' most common regrets about their education? 39% say no regrets. 27% student loans, area of study, poor networking, time to complete. Very few people could regret completing college in a couple of more years than the 4 or 5 years that are standard. Also, academic underachievement. Not many people regret partying. This is what this is telling me right here. And the school institution of choice. Not that many people regret whether they went to school, which actually goes to show that school, in the end, in the long run, doesn't matter that much for most people. And also, too many degrees. Not many people regret having a lot of degrees, I guess. But anyway, so majority of people regret their student loans. Of course, we are in approximately how much? We are in approximately $1.5 trillion worth of student loans. Recently, actually, Dave Ramsey released a very, very cool documentary that I personally watched, and I suggest that every single young person out there in college right now, or that is going to go to college in the future, needs to watch that documentary, because it really shines light and insight into what student loans are, how they work, and how they can actually trap you. As young people, a lot of times we don't tend to pay much attention to this, and we take it lightly. We think that it's just free money, when in reality it's something that can really, really damage your future. So pay attention to that, and I'm actually going to put a link somewhere to that documentary that you should watch. It's only $5, but I promise you that whatever $5 or however it costs to watch that documentary is going to be very, very helpful, and it may change your life. And here it says, millennials regret their loans. Each generation has their turn at college, usually defining a cultural moment by boldly protesting or innovating all ideas. Although students may face similar choices about their education, such as what to study or where to attend school, the greater context informing those choices can change. The astronomical tuition spikes of the last decade, the major shifts in technology driving new fields of study, and demanding labor market requiring more technical training are all recent evolutions of going to college. Let's look at the data, guys. Let's look at the data. So it says no regrets. Are regrets the same across generations? We have millennials, no regrets, loans, and then we have basically the different generations and what kind of regrets they mostly have. Gen Xers, no regrets. So the baby boomers, actually majority of them, as we can see here from the data, they don't, most of them have no regrets, which is actually amazing. Would it have to do anything with the size of student loans that they may have or may not have, or they may not have had to get? Millennials, of course, a lot of them have regrets, mainly because of the student loans. So now let's look at the next question. It says, which major has the least regrets? Number 1, engineering has the least regrets. And here it says a little note, proportion of respondents that have no regrets about their college education. So if you don't regret your college education, then engineering is the one that has the least regrets at 42%. And then education, computer science, business, health sciences, here's like nursing, medical fields, pharmacy, math. I'm surprised math is actually down in the middle. And then we have communications, blah, blah, everything else. I'm not surprised that humanities is one of the most regretted. That's basically what this data is saying. But engineering is actually pretty interesting. And I'm actually going to give you more thoughts on this as we go further, because there's more data here that I want to show you. So let's go to the next question. Which major most regrets their student loans? Health sciences. I mean, here we have the doctors, the nurses, the pharmacy, and those those majors can get pretty hectic. I've heard of people even going up to $1 million in debt, $1 million in debt for becoming an orthodontist.
Justin, how are you?
I'm doing well, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So I had a question for you. I just recently graduated from residency to become an orthodontist, and I have student loans that total just over $1 million. $1 million.
It's absolutely insane. And then we have art. Yeah, the ones going at the bottom, they don't really make no sense. Business makes sense to get in a little bit of debt. Computer science, yes, and engineering. Everything else, the only three that I would pick here personally, if I had to get student loans, would be health sciences, maybe business, engineering, and computer science. That's pretty much it. I wouldn't get loans. And the other thing is, my personal formula, if I were to do college all over again, I would try very hard not to get any loans, but if I had to get to the point, I would not get more than 50% of my projected income upon graduation. But that's just me. Let's see. What is the most regretted major? Here is perhaps the part that you are waiting for. What is the most regretted major? Proportion of respondents in each category that regret their chosen area of study. Number 1, humanities. No surprises there. Humanities regret their major the most. People that major their physical and life sciences, social sciences, education. Also, as we can see, there is a correlation here between the salary numbers and the expected compensation for a lot of these top majors here. So the people that regret college the most basically tend to have lower salaries. Now, if you actually keep going down the bottom, the more down you go, the harder the majors start getting. Health sciences, you have medicine, again nursing, and then you have the STEM fields. You have engineering, computer science. What's actually interesting in here, so what I want to show you, computer science from this data is the least regretted major. Engineering is at the bottom, and one of the reasons why I think this happens is because people that actually graduate with a degree in math, health sciences, engineering, computer science, they really want it. These majors are hard enough that they give you all these obstacles. You go through all these challenges, which if you are someone that you realize this is too hard, I don't want to do it, you're gonna drop. You're gonna drop like a fly, like right off the bat. You're gonna drop in your second year, third year. But if you are someone that finishes with your engineering degree or computer science degree, the chances of you regretting that degree is gonna be lower, because that means that you really wanted it. And it's the fact that you really wanted it what really pushed you and encouraged you and made you want to finish that degree. That's actually one of the reasons why I say that you have to be at least interested, very interested in what you're saying and what you're doing. I mean, in the major in which you are, because these are hard majors. Engineering and STEM fields is hard. And if you are at least are not interested in it, if you don't somewhat enjoy it and like it, then the chances of you dropping are going to be pretty high, as we can see here. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to humanities, what I can gather here is that humanities degrees usually, well, not usually, they are easier than STEM degrees. And so because they're very easy, people don't drop out. They just get a degree just for the sake of getting one, thinking that it's going to make a huge difference, and they realize, oh man, this doesn't really pay that well. What? And so that makes people regret their humanities and social sciences and education degree. I'm not saying these degrees are useless. Education is not useless for sure, because you're teaching younger people. But my point here is that they don't pay us well, and they're much easier to get than STEM majors. So that's basically my take on STEM fields and non-STEM fields and why they regret their fields accordingly. The next question that we have here is, what are the most common regrets by education level? We have the bachelor's, the MBAs or JD, the Juris Doctors, the master's degrees, not MBAs, and then we have the PhDs. Amazingly, the PhDs, if we look at the bottom, are the most people with no regrets. So it seems a correlation here that the higher your education level, the fewer or the less likely you will be to have any regrets. And I wonder why that is. Why do you think that is? And then the other thing that we notice is that when it comes to loans, people that get master's degrees, perhaps masters of science, masters in engineering, they get a lot of loans. But this could actually be avoided. A lot of people don't know this, believe it or not, but this could be very much avoided if you had a company pay for your master's degree. So my point here is that you don't have to pay it yourself. Don't rush into getting a master's. And if you can work it out and get it for free by working it out through someone, then do that. So let's look at the next question here. It says, are regrets the same among private school graduates and public school graduates? Does it really matter? Let's look at the legend here, private, college, or university. So this is actually going to show us some really interesting data here. So we have the light maroon here, which is private, and then public is dark purple. I hope I'm not colorblind. So no regrets. So people that went to public school and private universities, they have no regrets. And then we have student loans. People that went to private universities, amazingly, have more student loan regrets. 100%. If you can afford to go to a private school, then go ahead and do it. But personally, if you have a state school that is just as good, or perhaps even with better education, it doesn't really make sense to go to private school just to follow a lifestyle. And then when it comes to the area of study, okay, so people in public education, in public colleges, actually regret the area of study more than in private schools. Private schools, a lot of the times, they attract a lot of people because they're very, very specialized, as far as I can see it. Like if there's a specific art school, a specific like theater school, then you may go to certain schools and then risk even paying a lot of money because you'll be out of state. And then poor networking, people that are in public college or universities regret not networking well enough. If you watch more videos here on my channel, you can learn how to network better. I'm going to leave a link in the description to a video where I can teach you how to do that. And then time to complete. People in public universities, they regret taking more time. They regret more taking longer. But time to complete could be a little misleading, because what does that mean? Does that mean that you took too long or you did it too quickly? You know, so it would actually be more insightful to know what exactly that means. And then we have other parameters here. So let's see. What is the conclusion here? It says, our research spotlights how college regrets vary by major groups, education levels, school types, and different generations of students. Most respondents had regrets, and most regretted their student loans. The only sample where no regrets respondents were the majority was for baby boomers. It says, while not always the majority, the frequency of having no college regrets did increase for all the respondents with higher levels of education and those with STEM majors. So STEM majors are are a group that have the fewer regrets when it comes to college. And then we go through the obvious. Humanities majors not only had the lowest rate of no regrets, which means they regretted their majors the most. They also had the highest rates of regret in the area of study. This may have to do with a relatively low salary seen by common professions of humanities majors. When divided by education level, non-MBA master's degrees reported higher regrets of student loans, while PhDs reported the lowest frequency of student loan regrets. Perhaps because they get compensated pretty well once they actually graduate. And then they go over to say that the millennials regret their student loans more than any other generation, something that we already knew perhaps. So my main takeaway here, guys, is that STEM majors, specifically engineering and computer science, have the fewest regrets when it comes to the area of study. And the higher your education level, also the less likely you are to regret your choice. And of course, not to beat the dead horse, student loans are still a big problem. And they probably will be for a while until Congress actually does something to limit the amount of money that students can get and not get all the loans so easily. And no, I do not believe that free education is the way to go. That's just the way I think. Otherwise, the education system would just be taken advantage of. Look at all the humanities degrees. Look at all the people that regret going to college. At the end of the day, if education were free, all that money would have been wasted. So if anything, I think there should be a limit when it comes to how much money students, especially at a young age of 18, 19 years old, are actually loaned both by private entities, also by public entities. And not only that, of course, also regulate the college tuition, which has been increasing for decades, and that needs to be taken care of. And of course, I personally think regulated by the government and Congress. So with all that being said, guys, thank you guys for being here. If you want to know more about why you should major in engineering, if you're still undecided, go watch this video right here where I teach you my 5 reasons why I love engineering. Peace!